All right, folks, how are you doing today? I just wanted to pop in here and give a few comments on this whole thing with the $15 minimum wage that has been suggested. And I posted in our group because I thought it would get good engagement, wanted to hear a lot of the different takes on it. And it blew up. I thought we'd get a couple hundred comments. We have over 750 comments so far, which blew my mind. And of course, as with the group, we know we're pretty lax about letting in anyone who wants to come in and learn about farming. So there was a lot of different people that came in. And I mean, people on all spectrums. Some people say this is, overreach of the government. Some people say that this is not enough and everyone should be paying $20 an hour. And I kind of got a little feisty with a few folks on there. Some folks on there were sharing like how they weren't sure how they were going to look at that. And they're struggling with this and, asking honest questions. And others were just basically saying, if you can't afford this, then you don't deserve to be in business and just bye-bye, go out of business immediately. So, and some of those people were literally a consultant who had never farmed before trying to give this advice. So, again, you can go read it. I'll link to that thread below. It's in our Your Successful Farm Business discussion group. So hop over there, jump in that, read through it, enjoy the 750 comments. I will admit, I have not read a fraction of them. I probably maybe read 100 of the comments, get the gist of a lot of what's going on. And so I'm going to give you my advice. Let's say it were to happen. Okay. Obviously, I'm not here to give my opinion on whether it's a good idea or a bad idea. What I am going to say is that if we do raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour, anyone who, let's say, was already getting paid $15 an hour on your farm is going to now need a raise. So you're going to basically, it's pushing everything up, let's say maybe 20% if that's what you're raising, or I don't know what your pay range is. And again, it's not necessarily, let's say you as a business. So let's say you as a business were already paying $15 or $18 an hour, but then the minimum wage was 12. And so let's say it now goes to 15. That means that any other job is now going to be at 15. And even if you're already paying well, you're going to have to pay even better for your team, for your employees. So, hey, good morning. Good to see you too. Thanks for hanging out with me today. So that's just my immediate take looking at that is you're going to realize that you're going to have to up your prices, your wage for that. So again, this will affect us no matter where you are on the pay scale, even if you're already paying that, because now the minimum someone can make is 15, and it's just going to readjust the entire labor market. Again, I'm not going to say whether I think it should happen or not. I do know the cost of living in, let's say, someplace like San Francisco is $3,500 a month for a one-bedroom apartment, compared to someone like Oklahoma City, where it's $500 for a one or $550 for a two-bedroom apartment. So just to give a little bit of context there, massive disparity of what it takes to earn a living wage in the U.S. All right, but let's talk about the who you have. So let's say you have people on your farm, and I like to say 4 different categories of workers on your farm. So the first would be your managers, okay? So with managers, you probably should be paying them $15 plus an hour in today's, if you want to get good people. We're going to get to that in a little bit here because good people, and again, I saw a lot of fear in that thread. There's a lot of people super afraid of what was going on. And people say, I can't even pay $20 an hour and get good people. Well, let's talk about how you're hiring, the environment that you're hiring them into, the story that you're telling them, how you're hiring people. Because I see a lot of people hire incredibly poorly, get poor employees, and then grumble at even paying them $14 an hour. But if you know what you're doing on your farm, and again, I don't want to get ahead of myself, have built the job that's built toward giving someone a higher wage, and we'll get to that in a little bit here, then you're going to be able to make more money with that. So let's talk about your managers are obviously going to have to be paid more with this because you're going to have to keep good help. And good help is someone who can show up on time, follow instruction, maybe even manage somebody else. Your second would be your partners. So let's say you've got, a couple of you in the business who are the owners, maybe you're a partner with that, you're probably going to, in a transition period, if you may have to look at a little bit of a freeze on wages for those people that are kind of like in the management there, just because as you're kind of reshuffling some of this lower stuff, because again, going back to the fallout that I said, the reshuffling that's going to happen. And then your temp labor. So this is where something, because obviously I see your managers or your full-time employees, they are probably doing jobs and they're going to be better at the jobs at your farm. So they're probably doing the graftings, a lot of the seeding, the transplanting, the weed control, the on the tractors, the selling at market. But you always have these jobs, which are, let's say, bin washing, or the hand seeding, or let's say harvesting carrots or harvesting green beans. And so that's where you usually, to me, the lower pay is the entry level. So it's the high schooler kids. The kids are there for a short period of time. And again, they're still learning the ropes. So they're not as valuable to you as a team. And again, you structure your business the way you want to. But what's going to happen with those is because you're raising the wage on those, you're going to start to automate a lot of that. And that's how we would do that too, is like looking at, not eliminating that, but maybe kind of streamlining that so that we're not doing some of those very low dollar an hour thing. And let's kind of go back to the couple types of folks that I saw in the group. So obviously you had again, I'm going to be blunt. You had the people who had no idea how to run a profitable farm, idealists. And so they don't run, they don't run their books. Again, I read through the thread. I identified them very easily. Idealists. They're like, you should pay $15 or $20 an hour. I pay $20 an hour. And that's great. If you want to do that, and more than happy to do that in your business. But looking at these people and seeing how they're posting, they're not running businesses. They're not running profitable enterprises. This is just someone coming to help them on their hobby farm. And then you've got the struggling people who are scared. So this are the people who run a farm. They're probably not set up like they should be. They've hired a couple people. Their weed control is probably not under control. They're not being efficient with their systems. They don't have the proper infrastructure. So they're doing a lot of low dollar an hour jobs on their farm. And they're rightly scared. Because if they're paying $12 an hour and now everything goes to 15 and all their people are going to leave, they're going to really incredibly struggling. Okay. And so I'll tell you those people what to do in the end here. This is kind of like at the end, I got 4 things that you need to do to be ready for this. So we'll get to that. And then we've got the third category in the group. These are the established seasoned farmers who have set up their farms well, know their costs, and are already paying above the $15 minimum. Maybe even up to 20. I know some of our farms we're working with, everyone on their farm is salaried and they're paying them very good money. So, in that case, then this is not going to affect you as much. Although, because again, the bottom is completely cutting off the market, you're going to have to raise your wages probably for this. This is what I envision happening. So, back to kind of those people that are super scared, the people that don't understand, that may be paying $10 an hour, $12 an hour on their farm, you're going to have to, again, back to what I said in the beginning, you're going to have to up level the level of work. So no longer are you going to have people out there with hoes hoeing. You're going to have to upgrade your machinery, maybe use a wheel hoe so that they can cover 8 times the amount of ground. You start using plastic or ground fabric or mulching. So you're no longer having to kneel and having to weed or wash as much. So again, there are a number of time and energy saving efficiencies on your farm that you can implement. And that's what you're going to have to do. All right, so let's talk about the 4 steps. And again, if you guys have questions or comments on this, your thoughts, again, I'm not the end all be all on this. I want to hear your thoughts. If you don't agree with me, I want to hear your thoughts. If you do agree with me, I want to hear your thoughts in the chat. Okay, so let me know what you're thinking. If this resonates at all, if you think I'm off base, I'll put it as out there. Do you think that if the wage is raised to that every farmer is going to have to just raise their wages for everybody? Or do you think you can keep the same wage for your higher paid staff? So, I think the 4 steps that I would do, okay, so these are the 4 steps that I would do if this happened, is first, I'm going to assess my business. I'm going to look at my profit margins. I'm going to start running budgets on every single crop and figure out what's making me money, which ones are losing me money, where the the crops are that just aren't paying for things. Okay, and so we're going to establish those. We're going to rank them, figure out, the highest payment is probably going to be the greens. Then we're going to move into our salad crops, or tomatoes or cucumbers. Peppers are a little bit lower. Roots are in there too. And then you get into the larger crops. And again, sometimes is that what you're looking at here is that if you have a crop that's incredibly mechanicalized, like winter squash. We grew winter squash last year. We made good money on it because we're mechanicalized for that crop and we had our systems down. So if you're mechanicalized for this, maybe sweet corn, if you are already using a picker, your labor is going to be minimal. So that may be the most profitable crop for your farm compared to, let's say, strawberries, which has an incredible amount of hand labor. So what this also may force you to do is go more mechanicalized, or you pick. Okay, you pick is going to shine in this because then you just have the people picking their own product. And so you're not putting your labor into this. So that's the first thing, is assess the business, run enterprise budgets. The second thing is to let my customers know. Is I'm going to let them know. I'm going to let them know during the thing and just say, look, guys, federal wage is being raised. That is going to push the cost of our production up, again, because it's raising the wage on everybody. And so with raising the wage on everybody, our prices are going to have to go up, and we will no longer be growing maybe A, B, and D. Okay, so we're just going to let them know that, because again, if you go to the farmer's market, all of a sudden your prices are up, your customers are going to freak out. But if you've very clearly laid out for them, hey, I mean, obviously, I would love for you to laid out to them before this all happened. Like, look, we try to pay a premium just so that we can protect those on our farm, so they are getting a premium because we really value the workers and we want high quality workers on here. We just don't want anyone that can, stand there and blink their eyes. I will tell you, we've had those people on our farm. They were not even worth $3 an hour. Very challenging. And again, over the years, we've really up-leveled who we hired and put their hiring process into process for that. Okay, so then the thing too is identify those low-hanging fruit, and maybe we kind of talked about that, number one. So the low-hanging fruit is the crops that aren't as profitable. And we want to do some time trials on that. So green beans, I'm going to do time trials on green beans, time trials on strawberries, time trials on tomatoes. And so I know my actual cost of labor, because at least at the beginning, my amendments aren't probably going to shoot up. My supplies aren't going to shoot up. My biggest variable is going to be that labor for me. So I want to make sure that I'm very clear on my labor component to all my enterprise budgets. And then my low-hanging fruit is where I'm going to start automating. Okay. So green bean picker. Okay. If we're growing so little, I'm going to say it's not worth it. We're going to cut it, or we're going to go to U-pick, or we're going to scale up so we can automate with a green bean harvester so we can keep growing that crop. Or maybe it's just a matter of buying a barrel washer. So instead of hand washing the roots and someone only being able to do $30 an hour worth of roots, now I can machine wash the roots, use the same amount of people, but do $200 an hour. And that's going to pay for itself very, very quickly. But you need to run your enterprise budgets for this. So we're looking at automation is number 4, is again, you're just going to start looking at those aspects and figuring out where you're going with this. So again, 4 things for me: assess your business, run your enterprise budgets, let your customers know, be clear with them on how this is going to affect you. 3, identify that low hanging fruit for your time trials, what's taking the time. And then 4, you're going to want to go look at automation for that. Now, Stan says, unfortunately, I believe the higher wage folks will lose ground with low wage increases. If you're paying $15 an hour now, you need to pay that worker $18 to $20 at least. Yeah, I completely agree with you that it's not just going to be, if you're paying $15, you may be, oh, I'm already paying $15. This isn't going to affect me. Oh, it absolutely will, because now the bottom has completely been cut off the market. So that is another thing this is going to do, which is kind of interesting. And this was just something I was thinking about, is because of the major disparity between different states. So you have states that, I don't know what the actual minimum wage out there is on some of these states. Maybe it's $15 an hour already. But then I think, what is federal? Is it $7.25 or something like that right now? But you have these other states which are still a minimum wage. And that's why you have some pockets of industry which have moved into those areas so they can produce things at a cheaper cost. What that's going to do is basically put some of those companies out of business, which will be interesting, or it's going to push them to China, or it's going to basically gut that economy because they won't be able to afford to produce those kinds of at those prices, and they'll automate. They'll just completely go to automation. So again, I'm no expert on this. That's just kind of what I've been thinking, knowing, having traveled the country, having been to some of these areas, let's say into Missouri. I actually don't even know what the price of minimum wage in Missouri. Let me see if I can pull that up. The minimum wage, what's the price there? $8.60 an hour. So obviously that's a lot lower than what the federal would be. But I mean, if you go there and you're looking at all the sawmills and all that kind of stuff, so you're looking at some of this large production down there that's driven by these lower prices, that's really going to change a lot of the dynamics around that. So that's just going to be interesting to see. All right, folks. Well, that was it. Oh, so obviously, if this is, we are right now in launch or promotion for Start Your Farm Intensive, and I would be requisite to tell you about that because, and drop the link in there for you folks, because this is the kind of thing we talk about in there. We talk about enterprise budgets. We talk about looking at your cost of production. We talk through this entire scenario, and someone that's gone through that would very easily be able to understand, oh, I'm going to have to, if I have to raise this is what's going to do to the rest of my business. And again, because people don't know that, then they're the ones that are really freaking out. But if you do know that and can look through it and say, I'm going to have to raise the price on these 4 products, or we're going to have to automate this over here, then that is what's going to affect you. Let me see if I can get the link for that for you guys. I've got it here somewhere. I highly recommend you check it out. We offer this course. So this course is offered throughout the year. You can buy it at any time, but right now we're offering it at a 40% discount, as well as we're offering live coaching with this one too. So again, if you want to go through it, get all your questions answered by me and our team. And again, we have an amazing team now. We've got Heidi, who is our chief education, and she's really good with all the financials and the spreadsheets done. We've applied for, I think, over 5 USDA loans. Has worked with the financial side of a lot of businesses. So she's an expert on that. We've got Jessica, who's social media expert as well. So she's got that expertise. And so we really can help you walk through this process if you're trying to build your business. So again, it's open for, I think, the next 6 or 7 days, I think next week. And already seen a lot of folks jumping in and getting excited about taking their business to the next level and really understanding this. Because again, if you don't understand the business, you're going to be, someone like to say, dazed and confused as you try to go through life as a farmer. Because again, running a farm is running a business. And if you don't know your numbers in your farm, you're flying blind and just trying to play around with things. This goes, though, it's going to hurt, is already rough employment. Yeah, so right now, it is a really rough employment climate. And I think the thing, too, is, again, don't freak out, too, because this is going to be staged. It's not going to happen all at once. So we'll have some time before this happens. I just want to say, from what I'm reading, that's what we're going to see. And right now, yes, there's massive unemployment, but I think we're going to see that change really, really quick. We're seeing COVID numbers going down. I'm not sure if that's what that's because. I know they did change how they test for COVID just a couple weeks ago. I probably shouldn't say that word in this video, or else I will probably get hit by Facebook. The Facebook gods out there. But I don't know if that's it or what's causing that decline, but I think we are going to see those numbers continue to drop. And I think we are going to see the economy come back, especially as more folks get vaccinated and people feel or we're allowed to reopen. So again, it's really interesting times we live in. That's all I'm going to say about that. But I do have high hopes for seeing everything coming back quickly. I think people are just, again, they're so sick and tired of being locked up for a whole year that we're just going to see some opening up because of that too. So, all right, folks, hopefully that was helpful. Again, I am just, responding to what we see the group going for. Hopefully that gives you some idea of how to move forward and how to build your business stronger in the crazy days we live in.